Hello everybody, this is Havoc bringing back my series on upcoming games in the strategy genre. 2020 is already packed full of more well-known strategy games, but I'd bet you'd be surprised that there are actually more than a few handful of city builders waiting for 2020 to be released, from indie devs to AAA publishers, and from the ancient eras to futuristic and fantasy settings. I'll be breaking these up into their more specific eras or subgenres to keep these short, so let's start with 5 ancient era city builders you might want to keep your eyes out for 2020. Beginning with probably the most ambitious game of the group, Ancient Cities, developed by Uncasual Games. This Neolithic era city/survival builder will see you take a tribe and guide your people through the generations, discovering technology, managing resources and your population, while also facing threats from other tribes and Mother Nature herself. The ultimate goal is to create one of the most fantastic cities in antiquity and through the ages. The game looks fantastic from a graphic standpoint, and even more so with mechanics like seed distribution from animals and human interaction, herd migrations, and social hierarchies within your village. Ancient Cities was fully funded through Kickstarter and Indiegogo back in 2017, raising over 250,000 euros for development. With I believe a 4 to 6 man team cranking on development, the game was supposed to release back in December of 2018, which was then pushed back to the spring of 2019. Well, it's the end of October and still no release date in sight, and the game has seen fewer and fewer updates as the year progresses. The game looks too good for me to give up on it, but the last year has raised some concerns for those following development, so fingers crossed that 2020 is actually the year it gets released and we aren't looking at yet another failed Kickstarter game in the future. Our next Neolithic game is Neolithic. In development by solo dev Alexander, this isometric game takes inspiration from Age of Empires 1, Civilization, and even Caesar 3. The city builder's core features revolve around characters that develop skills, inherit traits, and carry specific items related to their jobs. The map is massive and open world, with a day-night cycle and seasons, not to mention other villages scattered throughout that may be friendly or not. Each culture has its own set of buildings, and the latest art update with rocks, boulders, and more flora has really helped to fill in the map that was pretty bare before. Eventually, the game will have fortifications and military units, so you'll be able to go forth and conquer instead of purely city build. Much like Ancient Cities, this game was fully funded via Kickstarter back in 2017 and was estimated to be released in 2018. Development has been slower than expected though, especially as a one-man team, and it's looking like 2020 might actually be the year we get to see Neolithic release. I'm honestly not as concerned about Neolithic simply because Alexander is very actively involved in his Discord, engaging with the community on various mechanics and taking in constructive criticism from what's been displayed so far. Pre-orders for beta access will open up soon, and hopefully we'll have some content for you in the next couple of builds so you can really decide for yourself if this game is for you. Aztec Empire is a city builder that has just popped up on my radar, but has some great potential appealing to more old school city builder gamers. Taking direct inspiration from the line of Impressions games like Caesar 3, Pharaoh, and Zeus, but also from the Anno series, we have a mashup of fantastic city building mechanics for this game. You'll be building up a massive Aztec city, fulfilling the needs of all your citizens through the old school walker system, while also working out how to keep production lines in order and constructing massive temples and monuments to your gods. The dev team is just a couple of guys, but development has been steady and a lot of progress has been made in the last year. From past posts, they could be looking at a Kickstarter program to generate some funding for the game, so keep your eyes out for that. A 2020 release date still seems feasible to them, so I'll keep their word on it, but look towards the end of next year for that potential release date. The last 2 titles both take place in ancient Egypt, so expect some similar themes, but some potentially very different styles of gameplay. Builders of Egypt, once called Hard Ancient Life, is the closest game we've seen to Pharaoh since Children of the Nile. Beginning in the little-known proto-dynastic period all the way to the death of Cleopatra VII, you'll engage in urban planning, diplomacy and politics, religion, trade, and war to build the historic ancient Egyptian cities of history. The game itself is looking like a 3D version of Pharaoh, with upgradable buildings, plazas, monuments, and warehouses, but with more in-depth decisions that, when made poorly, could result in a loss of trading partners or far worse, civil war. Gameplay truly looks fantastic so far, both in its mechanics and from a graphics standpoint. We've come a very long way since the days of Pharaoh and Cleopatra. This one-man team has provided steady dev blogs and videos showing progress, and while it is technically a to-be-announced release date on Steam, I think there's a pretty good chance this game will be released in 2020, if later in the year. Turn-Based Kingdom is our last game, and another one that I've just recently found out about a month ago. And the idea of a turn-based style Pharaoh game was a very puzzling but intriguing thing to think about. Having played around with the alpha demo a bit, it's a very different approach to the city building genre, since most of this style are in real time. In Turn-Based Kingdom, you'll build your ancient Egyptian city through a complex economic system, using some forward planning skills to balance buildings across deserts, oases, and scattered islands. There are a wide range of resources to manage, along with production chains, managing your settlement, and even bringing warfare into the mix. The art style has taken some strong inspiration from Pharaoh and Cleopatra, but placed in this turn-based system, it actually fits pretty well, even if the game takes some serious learning to get the balancing out. This game is also a solo dev project, and while 2019 is the release date listed on the game's website, the recently open alpha means that production will easily go into 2020. I still recommend giving it a try since the alpha is free if this piques your fancy, as it's quite an interesting one to play. And there you have it, 5 ancient city builders to keep your eye on for 2020. I have 3 more eras to cover in the near future, so if you know of any city builders coming out next year, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully there's something in here that you look forward to playing. If you liked what you saw, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you're always notified when another video goes live on the channel. Thanks for watching, this is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.